Welcome to The Foundry, where leaders are forged daily. And now your host, George Roberts.
Welcome back, entrepreneurs. Today we have Pete Vanderveen from Legacy Acquisitions. Welcome to the show, Pete.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me here.
Well, I'm really excited to have you because I know that you're very skilled in one of the niches that I find to be fabulously interesting, which is, of course, the build-to-rent space. We got a major housing crunch right now, and I think that build-to-rent might be one of the solutions to that. So I'll let you just pick it up from there. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved in real estate and how you got to the build-to-rent space.
Yeah, thank you. So I would say I've come about this in a non-organic way. I got out of college and I started doing real estate flips. And then I really dove into the deep end and I did a 60-acre subdivision. So I did acquired the land, did all the entitlements, got ready to go vertical, and the market tanked on me and I'd carried the whole project myself. So I really did this the solo way. And then fast forward 10, 15 years, my wife and I went and took some multifamily schooling. And I really kind of reinvigorated my passion for real estate. But this time I was going to do it the right way, not lose my shirt on it, and do it with a team. And that's really brought me into the multifamily space. I actually joined Ellis Hammond. I helped him kind of co-launch, or I helped him really scale the Kingdom REI for a year. And then from that point on, I joined the Legacy Acquisitions team with Andy McMullen. I've been helping them optimize that and grow that and scale that so that we're in the position now where we've got roughly 150 million in development, in BTR development coming up. So we're in a great place to scale, to grow, to bring teams on like Tony and some of the other ones that you've spoken with. They're all part of our team. So we're excited to have really, I think, a power team of people ready to go.
Yeah, amazing people. Yeah, I know the whole team. I feel I might be missing somebody, but I know Flint Jameson, I know Tony Torres,
Yeah.
and I definitely know Andy McMullen. So great people out there, great project, and obviously speak a lot about scaling. That's what you do. Well, if there's ever been something that needed to be scaled right now, I'd say it's construction, or maybe build to rent in particular. So you've got, maybe just set it up a little bit here. You've got all this institutional funding, you've got all this demand on the other side. And in the middle, we need people like Legacy Acquisitions that can jump on that. So maybe you can paint the picture a little more fully.
Yeah, I think we've really seen, like, we've done the birth of Legacy Acquisitions was really the multifamily syndication space where we co-GP'd with operators and asset managers. And now we've kind of stepped out on our own with our capital raising expertise. And now we've got a complete vertical. So we have everything from acquisition. We've got the whole GC side of the equation. So we do all our own construction, and we've got an asset management team. And then we've got the syndication side of the equation as well. So we can do it all. And I think we've got a power team of people that are able to fill all those seats on the bus. And yeah, I think now it's funny. I think we've all been preaching that the 401k, S&P, all these things are volatile, and the best place to put your money is in the multifamily, medium to high density housing. And then sure enough, we're living it now. We've got, markets are tanking, S&P's down 30, 40%, and everyone's 401ks are in the tank. And we're really seeing that now. The proof's in the pudding. If you want to get into places where your money's secure and the market is stable, still medium to high density is where it's at.
Yeah, great stuff. And I always like the way Tony says build to rent is horizontal multifamily. So a little bit of a tie in there. You get a lot of the same amenities. I think we talked a little bit about why build to rent, obviously a huge housing crisis, but anything else you want to fill in there about why build to rent communities are great to live in and why they should be great to live in and invest in for many years to come?
Yeah, I think it's horizontal multifamily. Other people say it's apartment with rooftops on them. But yeah, we're finding, obviously we know the two demographics that are not stepping into the single family market are the boomers that are liquidating and they're exiting from their They're trying to liquidate their assets. They're trying to downsize into more affordable housing. And then you've got kind of the entry market, the millennials that want to have homes, or they want to get into real estate, but they don't want to own per se. They'd rather just put their money elsewhere. So we find on both ends of the spectrum, you've got people that are pushing the rental market and pushing in the increase in demand. But what we found with the build to rent is really advantageous is a lot of city planners are liking the aesthetics of the BTR space, because you don't have these big boxy 4, 5, 6-story apartment complexes, but you've got these kind of lush, kind of suburb-esque looking developments that you've got green spaces, you've got sidewalks, you've got duck ponds, you've got dog parks, you've got all these amenities of the suburbs, but it's in a high density, medium density, depending on the city and depending on the legalities. But what we found is the cities that we approach with the BTR model would take a BTR model 3 times over any high density multifamily complex. So it just seems to be the way of the future, especially the baby boomers. They love it because they still have that community feel. They've got backyard. They still have the barbecue. They feel like they're still living their life. They still have quality of life. They're just not in that low density suburbs that they used to live in. Now they're in that high density. So we're getting a lot more homes and a lot more rooftops. So even in terms of like land usage, we're doing we have a better environmental impact than we did when we were dealing with 2,000 and 3,000 square foot of homes.
Yeah, amazing stuff. And I'd love to second that about the medium to high density being a great place to be in. I've done well in that niche myself, doing some cluster development in Troy, Michigan. And it's great economics. Whenever you can build a little tighter, it's a real beautiful thing. And 100%, those baby boomers, anybody who's downsizing, these are people who maybe they're tired of cutting the lawn for the last 20 years. They don't mind being part of something that's a little bit more planned, a smaller lawn, lawn service, snow service. Those sorts of things are all very, very valuable to them. So a lot of demographic trends, I think, converging to make this an amazing place to be.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, well, great stuff. So for those that may not be as familiar with build to rent, this is a little bit more complex than, say, taking over a B-class apartment complex or doing a value add to a C-class. So why don't you walk us through from the very get-go? You have a concept for a project, you approach the city, what happens next?
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're securing the land. We have an LOI on the land, and then we secure the land only after the city has allowed us to rezone it as medium to high density. And then once that happens, then we get the entitlement completed. We purchase the land. So we go through multi phases of capital injection and investment opportunities. So we've got, you can be grandfathered into the land side of the deal, or you can get into the vertical and the value add part of the deal. But for us, once we get the entitlement in place, then we do all the infrastructure, get all the land ready. And then once we're vertical, then we have another capital round, and then we go through the vertical side, get market ready. So one of our current BTRs, we're in a process of building 10 units a month. We have 98 units in total. So we're moving at a pretty good clip. So within a year and a half, we're hoping to have that whole process complete. And then, yes, we give our investors multiple entry points, multiple exit points. So if you are there from very start, from before we even acquire the land until the complete exit, and even the exit could be the condominium model, it could be a continuous build to rent or a continuous rental model. But there's so many exit points. There's a lot of opportunities for investors to feel like they have a lot of control over their capital. They also have a lot of flexibility that they can come and go as they please.
Right. So as you mentioned, multiple steps to the process, multiple points at which investors can get involved. And as you scale, are you continuing to work with retail investors, or are you starting to work with the bigger fish of the world, so to speak?
Yeah, I feel like the more you scale, the more you grow, the more you desire to have a strong capital backer that can get you out of the retail investor space, because it just gets easier as you get larger to be able to just rely on someone to cut you one check. And then you don't have to spend all that effort in the marketplace trying to raise capital. But I would say that anyone, once you get to certain critical mass, you're always striving for more commercial capital and get out of the retail space.
Yeah, good stuff. And then for those that invest a little bit earlier on, when you're still in the acquisition and entitlement phase, how do the returns look compared to, say, I mean, I know certainly if you even invest when you're ready to go vertical, that's still an incredible investment. But how much, I mean, I know you can't, I don't want to pin you down to any numbers, but would you say it's significantly more lucrative to get involved early?
I think so. Just because you have there's so many phases that because what you're doing is you're buying bare land and then you're entitling that. Well, now that land has just appreciated by 40%.
Right.
And then there's another phase where you're putting utilities in until you're ready to go vertical. Now you've just appreciated the land by another 30-40%. So as a retail investor, you start to see rapid growth, because a lot of times your entitlement phase may take 6 to 8 months. So if you can see a 30% increase on your capital over 6 to 8 months, it's an incredible return on investment. So if you do that, you're basically seeing a hyperactive cycle of your cash that you would see in multifamily over 5 years. You're seeing this literally every 6 to 8 months potentially. So you're seeing 3 to 4 cycles that you can continue to let your money ride, let it roll. And over the duration of the project, you'll have seen an incredible multiple.
Yeah. So just to put some numbers to that example, if you did get in the earliest phase at the outset acquisition, you put in, say, like $100,000. If you were to experience 30% increases, and again, potentially in 6 to 8 month cycles, you're looking at almost 1.7 of what you started. You might have at that point $170,000 that's going into the vertical phase of the project. Yeah. Great. And great velocity too. Any tricks or tips that you'd be willing to give out as to how you're able to build 10 houses a month and keep that velocity up month after month?
Well, I wouldn't say we got it right. We were dealing with some weather issues, especially being in the Southeast. It was a wet summer, so we had to kind of, and then of course supply chain crisis hit us. But we've been able to adapt, and we're at a place now where the more opportunities we have, the more we're able to scale. So it's really come into our ability for our team to have a scalable model, or a repeatable model. And then we're just bringing in more and more key partners that allow us to acquire more opportunities. So Tony and the people that are joining our team are helping us find more ways of filling the gap. So Tony will be able to help us acquire more properties, more opportunities. So he'll be looking forward. We have to add more to our GC side of the equation. But what we've been doing successfully, I think, is we've really been focusing on scalability, so that we have our capital raising team gets stronger, asset management gets stronger, our GC side gets more robust, and then our ability to find deals and source deals is always something we're looking, because we need to be looking 2-3 years and for that blue sky opportunity. Because if we just focus on the deal at hand, once you get to the finish line, suddenly everyone stops. Well, that kills momentum, and it kills your scalability.
Right. Yeah, great stuff. And that's where the COO in you comes out, being able to build those processes, make things repeatable, and really figure out how to turn the crank. Great stuff. Yeah, I love it. And you mentioned being in the Southeast and some of the weather troubles you had earlier this year. I mean, anybody in building knows there's a lot that goes along with that. I mean, it is risk from one end to the other, and really problems from one end to the other. So really hats off to you for working through all that and figuring out the velocity end of things. But is that where you'd say the best opportunities are? Is that because of the demographic growth? Is that what sends you out to the Southeast?
We like it for a lot of reasons. One is you're still kind of Sun Belt. There's a lot of migration from the Midwest and the Northeast to the Northwest into the Sun Belt. A lot of the baby boomers are historically those winter bird migratory trend, that migratory transition in the wintertime for the winter months. But we also find a lot of the Southeast, especially where we're focusing on, which is kind of Louisiana, Alabama, South Carolina, even into Georgia and into Florida. There's still a lot of pockets in there that really fit the affordable lifestyle model per se. So people with fixed income, people that are boomers that are retiring onto their Social Security, that have taken $2, $3, $4, or $500,000 out of their home. They're able to live quite well, quite affordably for the duration of retirement. And these are still low cost markets where cost of living is affordable. The amenities are high. Obviously the tenancy for Costco's and the big retail places, those are still there because the population density is high enough. But yet the real boom that you're seeing in these primary markets isn't there. So we're dealing with that kind of that secondary, tertiary market that has all the upside potential, but it's still got the cost and the affordability that majority of baby boomers are looking for.
Right, great stuff. And then to take it from the standpoint of real estate being location, there's a lot of things you're looking for there. You've got to have a decent population size, but not too high, right? Because you still want to keep everything affordable. You need a large contiguous area that you can take over. So maybe you can walk us through some of the site selection challenges.
Yeah, I think honestly, some of the things that we've been dealing with in these markets is that high density developments are actually shy of, like, they're not really a fan of them. So what you would consider to be high density in Phoenix, where I'm from, when you look at the spacing between built to rents and then you go into Foley, Alabama, or you go into Louisiana, they get real puckered up when you tell them you want to put housing 5 feet apart. Like, these are communities that have never seen high density built to rents. So I would say that's one of the big barriers to entry, is really informing and educating their town council and their city of development on the benefits of it. Because once they see it, they really like it. But you still have to get them to get comfortable on the density ratios, because that's something that they're just not used to. And obviously their land is more on the availability side. There's not a land supply crunch like there is in these high density markets. But that was one of the big barriers to entry. And then for us too, there's always that risk when you get the land of being able to get the entitlement, getting all that stuff. So you have to have a lot of forward leading models in there, so that you're protecting your investor base, so that there's an exit strategy should you not get entitlement. But the more that this model becomes popular, the more these errors and these barriers to entry are disappearing.
Yeah, great about the exit strategy and getting in good with the city. I know that's not easy. Hopefully that education helps people. Hopefully this veritable housing crisis will just get some civic leaders, hopefully the population. I mean, it all gets back to us. We live in a democracy. So if people realize that we have a housing crisis, and the reason that we have to pay so much for housing is that we don't have enough of it, I mean, I just don't know what to say. It's one of those things. They say, you know, if you understand, no explanation is necessary. If you don't understand, no explanation is possible.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but great stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think we kind of tick some of the major boxes with the build to rents. You want to talk about any of your projects ongoing now or upcoming?
Yeah, we're just in our final phases of the first build to rents. We had a 98 unit in Lafayette, and that's our first build to rent, our first where we're controlling the entire process. So that's our first flagship one. And then we're moving on into Foley, Alabama. Right. And that's 156 unit one. And that's going to be our second one. And then we're going to move on into, we've got projects in Tennessee. We've got projects in South Carolina that are going to be stepping into next. So yeah, we're still looking to raise, I think, another 800,000 on the Crest deal. And the benefit of that deal is actually we've already out, and honestly, we're at this process because of the cap rate issues everyone's been dealing with. A lot of projects, you're getting to the final, you're literally signing the documents, and then suddenly you encounter basically a retrade of sorts where you're having to renegotiate the interest rates with the lender. So that is one of the challenges nowadays, is how many of these lenders are still willing to put money on the line and agree to a certain interest rate cap. So we've had to raise another 800,000 to shore that up, to purchase that cap down, and then we're rolling on to the next opportunity. But that first one, we're raising, or typically you're raising the money on a predictive business plan. Well, that business plan is already fully in action, so that's an easy one to invest into, and then the next one is going to replicate that and get even better, more efficient. So the next one in Foley, Alabama should start vertical here late November, December, and then we'll be moving on into full construction come Q1, Q2.
Excellent. So I think that first project you mentioned, that was Lafayette, Louisiana, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
And then the third project you're mentioning is in Tennessee. So what part of Tennessee are you building?
We've got several deals. We got 2 to 3 deals in play there, and we've got a few joint ventures that we're working on, and we've got a few that we're looking. Actually, Tony's looking at some land, but I can't really name any of them because we're speculating right now. But we've got 2 or 3 in the works that are
fair enough. Got it. It's still early days.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, sure love Tennessee.
Yeah.
Got an investment out there and looking to get more. Certainly love the East Tennessee area.
Yeah.
It's a place that's growing and it has room to grow, most importantly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Great markets, and great about the site selection. Again, it's I think very exciting. I mean, you've got decisions to make all along the line, and each one potentially adds a significant amount of value. All right. Well, I want to say that at this point, I think we probably have to wrap up. Are you ready to step up to the firing line?
Let's do it.
All right. All right. So tell us something about one of your real estate markets that most people would not know.
I would say it's a good one. Believe it or not, I'd say Foley, Alabama is rated as actually one of the fastest growing municipal districts in the nation.
Love it. Yeah. Lots of places like that. Small places.
Yeah.
Ocala, Florida, growing like nuts. Yeah. So yeah, finding these smaller places, big enough to be significant, small enough to grow rapidly. Yeah. Bingo. What's some advice you'd give your younger self?
Don't go it alone.
Love it.
Don't be stupid.
Best real estate advice you've ever received?
I think the best real estate advice I've ever received was learning the hard way what not to do, and then going through it. And it's really been the culmination of what I have today, which is really building powerful teams, bringing people together, row in the same direction, multiply our output by everyone doing things the right way rather than everyone going solo, everyone learning the hard way, everyone getting it wrong, going through learning curves, and then everyone having a divided output.
Awesome. What would you say would be the worst advice you ever received? And this is coming from a field where I'd have to say there's a lot of bad advice going around.
Worst advice is, I think you hear it every day. People are like, buy a house and rent it.
Yeah. Like, just do it. Don't analyze. Don't plan.
Just buy the neighbor's house and rent it.
Just love it. So let's take a nod to the randomness in the universe. I got my random question cards. Just tell me when to stop cutting the deck.
Stop.
All right. Top question. Oh, I don't know if we're going to get an answer to this. You seem like a real busy guy. What's your favorite reality TV show?
Reality.
It could be one of those real estate shows. Although if you're like me, you don't have any time to watch real estate TV.
I would say I'm a undercover billionaire. That's definitely my go-to. We need more seasons.
Love it. I'll have to look that up. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's good. Grant Cardone won. He won season 2, but when you watch these guys start from scratch.
Oh, amazing. That was the name that came to my mind because I know he's got this thing going on right now. If you're watching YouTube videos, which who in this business isn't trying to learn something from somebody, how quickly this moves. But yeah, he's got the whole thing about how if you build like $1 million business in 30 days, you get to come with him on his private jet. What a guy. That's amazing. But I think with a voice like that, I don't know if Grant Cardone could ever really go undercover. I feel like I would spot him by that voice.
I think that's why they stick him in some little town in Colorado where no one knows who he is.
Maybe so. All right, love it. Name a book that's helped to forge you as a leader and as an entrepreneur, and why.
What was that one more time?
Name a book that's helped to forge you as a leader or as an entrepreneur, and why.
I'd say 7 Habits of Highly Successful People by Stephen Covey. And it's really been foundational for me just to make leadership for me about empowering people around me, understanding the people around me, making my goal to make them better versions of themselves. And then knowing that when that comes full circle, then I'm going to get what I'm asking for. I'm going to get more effective leadership because I'm seeking to know them better. I'm seeking to understand them better. I'm seeking to do a better job communicating with them. And I'm seeking to get more value and help them get more value out of their life rather than just treating people like X's and O's or treating people with a carrot or a stick.
Excellent. Probably one of my first business books and still one of my favorite, 7 Habits.
Yeah.
How has a failure or misstep set you up for later success?
Well, I think I explained the one in real estate where I lost, I think around $4 million. So that stung pretty good. But I think I've always been the one that's I'm not sure who says it, but it's basically failing fast. So it's like you learn, you grow, you fail, you get back up, you learn quickly and adapt and overcome. So you're constantly learning. So I've had a lot of experiences running big corporations and doing real estate. I've started over a dozen companies and several of them have been major fails. And the more you fail, the more you learn, and the more you learn, the more you grow. And the next time you can shortcut a lot of it because you've got all these learnings, these lessons learned that you can apply going forward.
Excellent. Can you give us a quote to help forge our listeners as leaders and entrepreneurs?
I'm a big Stoic fan.
I love it.
So I would say, let me pull it up just so I don't get it wrong.
Okay, good.
All right. It says, this is by Marcus Aurelius, but he says, all you need are these: certainty of judgment in the present moment, action for the common good in the present moment, and an attitude of gratitude in the present moment for anything that comes your way.
Awesome. Wellspring of knowledge. Love Marcus Aurelius. My favorite philosopher. So this is 2 in a row that we're getting a Stoic quote. How can our listeners reach out to you?
I'm on LinkedIn. I do a lot of other business stuff on LinkedIn. I do chief executive operations consulting. So I do what's kind of called fragmented COO services. So I help companies grow and scale and take my $1 billion expertise and apply that to whatever scale or whatever size of company they are at the time. And then I do executive coaching as well. So just helping executives become empowered as leaders and as successful as humanly possible. But you can find me on Pete Vanderveen at LinkedIn, or check us out at legacyacquisitions.com. And I also have you can scan the QR code there. That's my website, triumphperformanceacademy.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Pete. I think you've given us a lot to think about. Love Built Around Space. Love the quotes. And
Nice.
Thank you for taking the time to share your knowledge and experience with our audience.
Thanks a lot, brother. Appreciate having me here.
All right. My pleasure.